Welcome to VMJPod's Employee Brand series with me, David Macciocca, and co-host Grad O'Donnell. Each episode uncovers bold ideas, real stories, and practical tips from experts reshaping how organizations attract and retain top talent.
Well, welcome to the VMJPod, where we unpack employer brand and recruitment market in this series. And we have an amazing guest who's going to be talking about the benefit of content in the candidate experience. I'm David Macciocca.
I'm Grad O'Donnell, and this is Corne Cilliers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you
Welcome.
for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me. Nice to meet you both.
Okay, so content. Are you producing the content? What's the go?
Yeah, I'm fortunate to be part of a 5-person team across Australia and internationally in India as well. Hello, team, for those watching. We are fortunate enough to have a big enough team that I'm able to produce a lot of the content in-house. And that means that we can focus on shifting our needs when we need to in the moment and being reactive to the demands of the business.
Telstra is such an iconic brand in Australia. It really is. And I'm assuming that in some instances, the consumer brand can overshadow the employer brand. I suppose, what is the impact of that? Do you feel that as a marketing specialist within the employer brand team?
It comes with a lot of collaboration and working alongside them. It's hard when it is a big iconic brand. There's a lot of pressure. And so we understand why we have to be conscious of what we do in that brand space and making sure that we're not treading on toes. So it all comes down to clear communication with the brand team and working alongside them to make sure that we're helping each other out and not pulling against each other. So it is a lot of communications. We're in constant communication with them, along with our social teams as well, because we have so many different branches of the business. We're working with the social team, we're working with the brand team, we're working with corp comms, and talking to them to make sure that we're all working together in the right direction, in the same direction.
Is that like a collaboration in terms of like they might go and produce something and say, hey, this will be great for employer brand?
Exactly.
And vice versa?
Exactly, correct.
Wow.
And so, and even parts of our business, we have so many different parts of our business, for instance, retail or field services. They might go off and do some of their own campaigns that are related to talent acquisition or employer brand. And so making sure that we're in contact with them and supporting them in that process, even though they're leading that out, we're always a touch point for them to make sure that it links back to the same message and the same outcome that we all want to have.
That's great. I think that's the utopia in the
It is.
the utopia in the marketing environment. Maybe not utopia, or it just feels like
never,
it for me.
It's never perfect. That's the end goal. That's the intention. You
Yeah.
can never have that perfect, especially with a large company with thousands of employees. Everyone goes off and does their own thing, but it's ensuring that the people that do make those decisions and are doing that, we're trying to get a hold of them and be in contact with them so that we can liaise with them whenever possible. We're always meeting new people, trying to start new initiatives, and just making sure that they're aware of us and our presence within the business, and making sure that we're there to be called upon when they need help. We offer our help instead of telling them off and saying, no, don't do that, we do that. We step in and say, let us know when you need help, keep us in the loop, make sure that we're working together in that direction.
When you need our superpower, just call upon us.
Yes.
Just
Correct.
shine a light in the
Correct.
sky.
I will help you. I am here for you.
And we can't do everything. That's the thing. There's so many things you can do in the employer brand space. You can't keep going off in different directions and starting new campaigns and initiatives. And so that's where you just need to be there and say, go ahead, but please keep us in the loop so that we can just steer you a little bit if you need the guidance.
Where is the low-hanging fruit at the moment? I'm sure there's so many initiatives at Telstra, but like, what are you focused in on as someone who's viewed within the employer brand team for content? Is it more impacting the candidate experience, or is it talent attraction, like trying to find those niche candidates within pockets, or is it retention? There's so much.
There is a lot. And I think attraction and retention is an always ongoing for us, and it's something that we always consider. But
Is that purely because to keep up with retention in general, or is it new projects? Why?
We have a steady I guess, BAU of sorts that we just intend to make sure that we maintain that retention. And that's part of our employee advocacy program, is making sure that we have advocates that go out to the business and can talk about their benefits and what they enjoy working at Telstra. And that's something that runs all the time. It's not a campaign specific. We don't make that a campaign. We just have continuous messaging that we do internally as well as externally that remind people of the benefits of working at Telstra. I think when it comes to campaigns and what we're focusing on right now, candidate experience is spot on. That's exactly what we're pushing at the moment. We have so many steps and so many different pathways within Telstra, trying to figure out how each of those pathways operate and what the pain points are for candidates during that process, and then how we can embed our EVP and uplift that experience for them to make it as smooth as possible and not as painless as it can be sometimes.
So is the lens more internal for internal mobility, or is it more external to attract talent?
Both. And we're fortunate to have a team at the moment that we're working closely with internally that are helping with that internal mobility. We have a platform that has recently been produced called Career Connect, and it's an opportunity for internal mobility where people can see jobs and learning opportunities and take on even projects in other teams that expose them to new parts of the business. Because we have so many opportunities available, it makes sense for us to provide a platform for our people to do that. And so we're supporting that team in making sure that they're being heard and people are being given the opportunity. We're marketing that opportunity to people within the business. But then from an external perspective, we're looking at the candidate experience from all of our external platforms. We're looking at our job requisitions and how that process happens, the complexities of all of the different job platforms like Seek and Indeed, and how we can make that transition into our candidate program smoother so that our TA team have less pain points as well.
So it sounds like an internal awareness program as well, right?
Correct.
Because you're so broad. How can you absorb every possibility of how can my skill set be applied somewhere else in the organization?
Yeah, we run a small. It's a small town really that we're working with at Telstra. It's almost 30,000 people within the company. It's like talking to an entire town of people. We have a big enough community just internally to work with, let alone the external market. Yeah.
So how do you get to be more, I suppose, impactful by not being so reactive to a conversation when you're thinking about content?
Sorry, can you rephrase that one?
And executing content. So, like, I can imagine a hiring manager is saying, hey, I need 50 people or I need 70 people. I need them to start tomorrow. And then the talent acquisition person says, hey, employee brand, we need help. Just to be able to get ahead of that conversation, to understand the rhythm and routines. Like, what is the benefit of that? Understanding the rhythm and routine of an organization like Telstra, as opposed to being sort of reacting to like, there's a new project, we need to like find all these people.
I think the big thing for us coming, and from my perspective, coming from a marketing background, we build almost the equivalent of a buyer persona, but in the equivalent of a candidate persona per se. Because we have so many different parts of the business, we need to understand what the motives are for people within those industries and what their driving factors are for wanting to work at Telstra. And so building a bit of a persona for different levels of seniority as well as the types of roles themselves, building those personas helps us then to know what kind of messaging we want to go out with, what kind of benefits we want to talk about to those markets to enable us to build or start building content for that. It goes a lot deeper than that, and we have to take a lot of factors in consideration. But that's the start of our process before we become reactive, is at least knowing what our different parts of the business are. And that is very similar to what we would do with our EVP in building job families and understanding those job families, but then breaking it down to a more minute level of what are the different levels of seniority, what are their goals within that level. If it's a junior role, are they looking to progress their career? Are they looking to learn more? Is a senior position, what motivates them to want to work there still?
Is that the persona that the business is saying to you, this is what we want that is generated? How's that generated?
I think it's a combination of what your hiring managers want especially what the business wants, and that talks to not only the skill set but also the cultural and the values of that person and what they want in a business. We want to find people that have similar values to what we have at Telstra, and so making sure that that's top of mind when we're seeking new candidates is pushing those values out and making sure that people are aligned to what we want.
When you're pushing out content, how important it is to get the balance of ethnicity, age, gender, the representation that seems like, and I'm assuming it would be so diverse at Telstra. How much of an emphasis do you think about that when you're considering amplifying voices?
We definitely consider it, not from a targeting perspective, but just from a representational perspective. A lot of the content, because we produce it in-house, when we do shoot new content, we're making sure that we're reaching out to as many people as possible and making sure that our employee representation is diverse, and we're fortunate to have a very big advocacy program where we have people from all sorts of backgrounds that want to tell their story. And so we tend to open up the floor to those people and find those that are keen to tell their story. When it comes to content, in the past, it's been easy enough to obtain content from stock imagery and assets, but we found more and more now, especially that we have the ability to do it in-house, we're capturing more content of real staff members and giving people the opportunity to provide imagery of their own.
It's because everyone's doing that dance.
I've been practicing.
Is that what you're getting?
Yes. I mean, we have all sorts. We have.
What does that mean, by the way? Like, for people who haven't seen the.
I mean, this is the linkage between, I guess, the consumer brand and, we step into this space with employer branding. I'm interested to sort of see, is that something that you're going to leverage? Obviously, it's something I don't think, or unless like there were, marketing geniuses that maybe thought that people would jump on board with this as Australians.
For those who are listening and not actually watching, Grant attempted to dance.
It was a silent Telstra dance,
Yes.
which you'll see in the consumer focused ads.
Yes, and we've noticed that
Or is it a dance? Or more of a
It's a
walk?
walk.
It's a walk.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
style
wander.
of walk.
It looked like a dance when you were doing it. You had some rhythm to that.
I got some flow to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that some of our customers have started doing. It may have started as a bit of mockery to
Yep.
some extent, but I think people have catched onto it, and we're catching onto it and pushing that out in our socials now. Just this morning, there was a post on our LinkedIn channel of one of our field service members doing the walk out in rural New South Wales. So our staff are getting behind
How
it.
helpful is that?
That's awesome. So good. I mean, I'm sure the advertising agency will be writing that into the case study. This was intentional. It went viral, and now it's expanded into the other aspects. Yep.
Yep. And fortunately, we have an awesome social team that are really on top of these trends, I guess you would call, where we can catch on to these trends quickly and lean into it and have some fun with it. And it really helps us connect not only with customers, but with our employees.
Yeah. Nice one. So the world's changing. We know that. Always changing. What's landed recently, in your opinion, from a content perspective?
I guess with the world changing, people are using AI a lot more. We're seeing the use of AI.
again.
Yeah, it's the future. It's the future. Everyone's talking about AI.
The future or the now?
Or then it is now too. But I think we have to be really conscious of especially from an employer brand perspective, we have to be conscious of using AI for the right means and making sure that when we do produce content, it's still authentically human. That's the approach that we take with our content to make sure that we use AI as a tool to help us.
Create efficiencies.
Correct. But we don't let that lead the creative direction, and we don't let that tell the story for us.
Yeah.
You let your employees tell the story for you.
So what, in terms of content, what is landing, in your opinion? Is it more... Oh, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. What's landing at the moment, and and maybe you can talk about
Maybe the channels.
Yeah, the channels as well, and what is landing on certain channels doing different things. I'm assuming
I could speak forever about this, but we follow our social team's kind of direction with this, and we go for a platform first approach with all of our content that we create. So we're not going out there creating content and then thinking about where it's going to show up. The very first thought is, what platforms are we trying to reach, and how can we create the content that fits naturally within that space and on that platform. So we have a platform first approach, but when we are targeting our marketing towards certain job families, we have to be conscious of what platforms they show up in the first place. We consider the platforms that they show up in so that we are talking to the right people at the right time and on the right platform. That way you can produce content that's relevant to not only the job family, but also the platform itself. It looks native and natural to the platform that it sits on. What's working for us at the moment, especially when it comes to recruitment, marketing, direct marketing, is actually simple works best. We're finding big, bold, beautiful messaging that are targeted to the right people are actually landing and resonating really well. So can
you give us an example?
Yeah. Prime example is software engineering. You could simply state software engineers wanted, or now hiring retail field services, retail positions open now.
So when you say that software engineers wanted, I'm thinking like that typical American poster, old crusty guy pointing.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
The military style, or it's just the fact that the headline is to the point.
Correct. It's the headline is to the point, and it is a bit old school. It is that old school messaging.
It's about 70 years old.
Yeah. But I think in today's day and age, where our social media pages are so flooded with content, sometimes you just need a few words to stand out and catch someone's eye. And when you're already targeting your advertisements to a software engineer and they see software engineers wanted, they go, that's me. That makes sense. I'm interested. I'd be interested. You want to catch their attention as soon as possible. And sometimes filler words don't help in keeping people's attention and catching that.
So is it just the social platforms you're relying on to catch people's attention?
And I was going to add on to that one. What about not just the social platforms, but if you're talking to the different personas?
And that's a great question. Some job personas and job families, people aren't on social platforms. Some of the roles that we hire for instance, field service technicians, they're all over Australia. We service remote communities all around Australia. And so in order for them to do that, they need to live and be amongst those communities. So the best way to find
somebody... They're in the wild. How do we find these people in the wild?
So the best way for us to target those kind of communities sometimes isn't through social media platforms. You're speaking to local leaders, you're speaking to local newspapers and newsletters, local job boards to see what the best methods are to even begin a bit of word of mouth, spread a bit of word of mouth amongst the community to let people know that we're after some new field service technicians or retail positions.
So I can imagine a world where, for one reason or another, your role doesn't exist. But your role does exist, and those niche roles are really hard to fill. What impact are you having in reducing the time to hire?
That's a good question. Give me a second on that one. So can you rephrase that? Explain that one again. So
are you leaning towards like the content?
Metrics, yeah.
The content assistance?
Yeah. I want people to understand that your role is really important.
Good. Yeah.
And without you, things take longer.
Yeah.
And it's not always about applying for a position. It might be to join a community or sign up to this newsletter. And when they're ready, they're thinking Telstra would be a great place to work. Or there's referrals that are occurring because there's. So I want you to push us. I'm pushing you in a direction that, they might be paying you a salary, but 10x that because you're impacting the talent journey.
Yeah. There's probably two prongs to that. When it comes from a branding perspective, you want to build that brand presence in amongst the community. Although we're a really big brand, not everyone knows what it's like to work at Telstra. So establishing that employer brand and letting people know the kind of community that you'd be joining if you join Telstra, that's a big aspect of what we do. That's what we lean on our ambassadors to talk those stories and tell people. But it's about reminding people constantly about how great of a workplace it is to work at. And a lot of our work stems from that, is to remind people not only internally but externally about the benefits of working at Telstra. They might not be looking to apply today, tomorrow, next week, but in a year's time, when they see a job advert pop up at Telstra, they go, I remember, I've seen some people talking about how great it is to work there. I've heard that, they've got great flexibility. Having those key points, reminding people constantly online, means that when we do come to attract, or when we do need to attract certain job markets, people are already warmed up to our content and are ready to apply for a position.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big drinker of Coca-Cola, but there are a lot of Coca-Cola ads, and it doesn't mean I'm going to go out and buy a Coca-Cola there and then, but I might be a little bit more receptive to having a Coke if it is one of the beverages that I can select from, potentially. It's marketing 101.
It's more of the core, like as you went to like your core marketing background, right? You're not just going, I'm going to go out here and do recruitment marketing. If you think it from a normal marketing background, you do the brand work as well. You want to be on the consideration set before they even need it. You're already within the market, so you're doing all that sort of work ahead of time, rather than just going, the only lever we have to pull is, well, there's the job ad.
You're building a community of followers that might not even work at Telstra, but they're interested in the work that you do. And so creating entertaining content for them helps them to stay with you and stay engaged in your content for years to come, so that when that time comes, that there is the job of their dreams that opens up, they can jump on that opportunity.
I think A-grade talent think along those lines. They know where they want to work before they even apply for a position. And then B-grade talent is likely to really research the company before they apply. But as we know, C-grade talent are the ones that are just, jamming their resume through to multiple sites. So you're repelling and you're planting the seed early to attract talent. And I'm assuming it really impacts the bottom line. Especially in niche markets like field services engineers, is there a metric that's like time to fill or something like that you can lean on, or you do lean on to prove to the business the content that you're creating is impacting the talent flow?
If you weren't part of this process, would it, what would it look like?
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of not only that brand, building that brand advocacy and looking at opportunities like time to fill, but also the ratio of eligible applications that you get during the process. You can have hundreds of applications come through, as you've mentioned, and they're not all eligible for those roles. So making sure that the applicants that you're bringing in are actually top tier talent is a big push for us. And as much as you can do that through building the brand, I think that's where the talent marketing side of things come in. You can advertise for roles and positions and tailor your targeted advertisements to that top tier talent and make sure that you're attracting the people that you really want to bring in. So we don't necessarily, our talent acquisition teams look at time to fill, and that's part of their ROIs for their business. But for us, I think the ratio of bringing in top tier talent really supports us.
So quality
talent.
Yeah.
Quality talent is key for us. We might not be able to, we can bring volumes if we want to, and we sometimes that is needed, but quite often you don't need to bring in 10,000 people to fill in a few roles. You're better off doing precise targeted advertisements and finding that top tier talent that you're bringing into the business.
This episode is brought to you by Video My Job, introducing the fastest way to turn employee stories into multi-channel content. One video now instantly becomes branded blogs, quote cards, social posts, and more, all perfectly formatted for the channels you use to attract and engage talent. And the best part, zero editing required. Record once, repurpose everywhere. Book your demo at videomyjob.com and experience the new era of employee content creation.
Are you across conversion or?
This is a kind of $1 million question that everyone wants to know, is how you track candidates and where they come from, and whether or not you're making that impact. Part of our process we do have within our application process is asking the question for people, where did you find out about these job opportunities?
Do you do that when they get the role or during the process of their interview
during
process?
the interview process.
And when do you find the right time to ask that question?
That's a good question. It's something for TA, unfortunately, to answer, as I'm not in the TA specific space. Although we support TA, we sit separate to them. It's built within that application process itself. And I know from my understanding, our TA teams ask that question right at the end as well for the actual candidate themselves. But for the bulk majority, we're tracking the decisions chosen within the application process to compare how much impact we've made during the job listing time that the job's been up. We can compare whether or not we have contributed a large amount to certain campaigns.
I think that, like, with that one, obviously that's talking to the TA metrics. What about on your, so you've got that sort of side and that's the tangible parts. Yep. Obviously you've got
our own metrics.
You got your own metrics.
Yes. And so a big thing for us when we do compare our metrics, we're looking at benchmarks. And this is, for example, LinkedIn's got great industry benchmarks. And so we will talk to our LinkedIn contacts and find out the industry benchmarks for certain industries that we're advertising for.
And then beat them.
Set the new benchmark.
And it allows you to know that the content that you're creating and the market that you're advertising to are resonating with the content that you're putting out there. So we're ensuring that if we are meeting these benchmarks, that we're doing the right thing. It doesn't mean you stop making it better, but at least it means that if something isn't working, you know straight away. Different industries have different benchmarks, so it's always important to compare apples to apples and not look at the general benchmarks. And so that's where it really makes sense and is really handy to have industry-specific benchmarks that we can match.
Or do you even have different benchmarks between different types of talent? So you might have, maybe there's some talent that's, I don't know, what's something that's everyone's competing for? Probably AI, tech talent. Sorry, I said it again. Everyone competing with tech talent, right? So they're so used to being advertised to. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's, I don't know, potentially that's different. I haven't thought about it recently.
Yeah. Comparing retail to field services to tech to head office, HR roles, each of those industries are different. And so if you're able to adjust and know the benchmarks for that market that you're advertising for, it makes a big difference. For instance, if you're looking for retail candidates during Christmas, good luck. You want to be jumping on something like that early because a lot of retail businesses are looking to hire Christmas casuals well before. And so ensuring that you're comparing those benchmarks during a time that in the market it might be really busy, you're going to see different results compared to the quieter times of the year.
The personas really make a difference though. Yeah. And then obviously understand the rhythm and routine. I'm assuming there's a content calendar.
Yep. There's seasonal, we all know grad campaigns come through seasonally and that's a big part of what we do as well to support the larger grad campaigns that come through. And so knowing what's coming up and being ahead of the curveball and having content ready to go in time is crucial.
Coming from a marketing background and how long have you been in the employer brand sort of focus on talent attraction and retention?
It's a new fairly new world for me.
Yeah.
I've only been in the employer brand space for about 3 years now. So I actually came from a film and photography background, then moved into marketing, and then kind of used both aspects to help me into this employer brand space. And so it's
the perfect mix.
That's a pretty unique skill set.
It is a little bit, but
Yeah.
it means that it's been a lot of learning from the talent acquisition side of things.
So what surprised you most from making that transition into the talent?
That's a good question. I think really leaning into that human side of things, coming from product marketing and promoting something that's so tangible to something that's someone's career. It's actually I find it a lot more rewarding because you're changing people's lives in providing career opportunities.
It's
so
true.
I think
It's so true.
that's such an impactful thing for me that I found, and that's why I've loved it of these past 3 years working in EB is having that opportunity to change people's lives.
You're not selling a widget or some, disposable item, some grocery item, some, new soft drink or something else like that.
Yeah.
Do you find Telstra, like when I think of Telstra, big business, hard to get things done on occasion, is that a misconception? Do you feel empowered to take risk?
I do. I think it is a bit of a misconception. There is definitely processes involved.
Sure.
And it means that sometimes things can slow down and it takes longer, but it doesn't mean that things can't be done and opportunities aren't there. It just means that you have to go through the right pathways and make sure that you're following the right steps to get there. But there hasn't been a single thing that I haven't been able to do or to try out.
All right. Give us an example of how you've stretched your legs and you've shown off a little bit. Something that
Maybe a new channel or a type of execution, or what's it look like? New program.
No, it's feeding me the right stuff. I think for us, a big part of working around these things is sometimes finding the right channels and methods to go about things. We don't have a TikTok account that we use within the employer brand space. We have a Telstra TikTok, but we don't actually readily use that. We've been given the all clear though and opportunities to use alternative accounts such as Grad Connect and use those platforms to still target people within those areas that we want. For instance, when we run a grad campaign, because to be honest, running 5 social media accounts is not an easy task. And so when you don't have all the time dedicated in the world to run all those tasks, it's not really recommended to. I wouldn't recommend trying to run all the social channels at once if you don't have the time and capacity to keep on top of all of them. So having the ability to connect in and find ways to show up on those platforms and letting the business allowing us to do that without having to use the Telstra platforms themselves, have been really beneficial for us. It's something that it means we can focus in on the platforms that we do have and work on those, but then lean into alternative platforms in times that we do need it.
What reliance are you placing on paid advertising on social to attract talent versus organic?
I think from a branding perspective, we lean still quite a lot on organic, but when it comes to talent marketing itself and traffic driving messaging, that's when we will rely on social media platforms. We have job boards like Seek and Indeed that we can show up, and if people are looking for work, they'll find our jobs available. What we're trying to target and what we're trying to achieve by going on social media is actually by attracting the people that might not be considering a job change at the time, and those opportunities being presented to them on a platform that they might not expect. It can go both ways. People might not resonate with that then, but those that are open to new opportunities but haven't been looking on job boards, when they see that opportunity appear in front of them, that's where we're able to really grab that attention from possible candidates that never even thought about an opportunity before until they were introduced to it.
I like this because it's getting into more of obviously a proactive and more sophisticated approach to marketing outside of the typical job-seeking boards and channels that you would go in. So it sounds like, you touched on TikTok. So it sounds like you're going into, potentially Facebook, Instagram, I don't know, maybe YouTube, maybe, others to then find people that might be interested in Telstra.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what we aim to do, is to remind we're not only reaching people that know about us, but people that might not have considered us before, and proposing to them opportunities that could change their career. And so just because you're not actively seeking a new job opportunity doesn't mean that you're not ready to try a new job opportunity. And so bringing that to light to people is really crucial for us. And I think that's where we've seen a lot of return on investment is going to new areas on social media platforms and finding people who aren't on Seek or Indeed actively.
And when it's that longer term sort of play, is that big? Are you doing that with the intention of bringing them into like a talent community or some sort of longer term engagement strategy with them, or is it more the brand building?
I think that forms part of the brand building. When we do have people apply for roles, we build a candidate pool that we can lean on to in the future. And we're now introducing strategies for us to keep those candidate pools engaged by reminding them about further opportunities down the line and keeping them warm. But the biggest part, I think, is still for us to build that brand perception and build a community within those social media sites where people might be interested then in Telstra. The opportunity might not be there for them in the moment, but is later down the line.
Okay.
What's the thing that you like really get excited about? The things like, yes, we nailed this. Like, what happens when that moment comes up?
My favorite part, I think, would be the grad campaigns and working on grad campaigns. They're the most passionate people you can get to come in to bring into a company. They're so excited to come and work for you. And being able to work with grads on future grad campaigns then, we lean in a lot on our grads and talk to our grads to find out what their drivers are for joining us in the first place. And then we get them involved in the creative process. We get them involved in scripting new content ideas. We get them on camera.
Look at them taking advantage of kids that run through brick walls to show off.
Big me. And I would assume, you're a big organisation that you got a big grad program.
Relatively big. We have a lot of interest,
Okay.
Huge amount of interest, more interest than the amount of jobs available to us,
That's
which is
cool,
a good
though.
problem to have. It's a good problem to have. But I think, we have a relatively big grad program.
Just you get to select the best if you've got a bigger talent pool. I mean, it's different from other job families. You want big talent pools, right?
Correct. It is very different, and it means that our talent acquisition team sometimes are under the pump when it comes to going through the amount of applications.
You're sympathetic to them, are you?
Well, we have
For
to
doing
be
your job
because
so well.
it forms part of the candidate experience, and if the talent acquisition teams are too busy sifting through all of the CVs, they don't have time to talk to and work with those candidates. And we don't want to leave. We want to design for the disappointed. We want people to apply next year again. We want people to feel like they still want to work at Telstra, and so
to buy your stuff.
That's
to walk into a shop and like
That's actually something we haven't touched on in conversations, and being a retail brand.
yeah, you've worked for Australia Post and Transurban and
Yeah, you need to consider that as a retail brand. You don't want them to be like, well, I didn't have a good experience there, so you know what? I'm gonna swap.
going Optus.
I'm gonna take my account somewhere else, or this is how I'm going to.
I wouldn't recommend that.
No longer.
though. Telstra is like the best.
Yeah. No. I no longer want to associate with this organisation because I had a bad experience here. So yeah,
Correct.
It's broader reaching.
Are you creating content for the disappointed?
That's a good question. It's not. So yes, internally yes, and this is why the candidate experience for us is a big process. Is that we're working alongside the TA teams to look at that candidate experience and how messaging is going to people to ensure that we have that human touch when it comes to rejection messages, and then also letting people know and reminding people that they're still welcome to apply. We still want them. It's just that we can't have everyone at once. And so, working with the TA teams on those candidate experience touch points, making it not only attractive from a content perspective, but then making sure that the messaging is human and connects back to the people, and that we're reminding people that they are important and that we appreciate their time and that their time is valuable is key for us.
I feel like I could ask him so many more questions, but I think we do. Do you have any final question? Do you have a final question, Grad?
I don't know. Not necessarily a final question. I'm just sort of thinking, what else do I want to know about what's happening inside sort of Telstra, but also obviously, you've got such a unique sort of background. Is there a way that you're looking to further amplify obviously your unique skill set, right? And you've got a team of, was it 5?
There's 5 of us in the
Five
team.
of us. Are you looking to build out the production skill set in the organization? You talked about advocates and everyone else.
Definitely. And I think part of what we do is to help people teach them how to talk about their experiences at working at Telstra. And part of that forms showing people how to use cameras properly. And we get our ambassadors involved in making content as well. And so giving them that opportunity lets them learn and teach. We even have so many people who are avid photographers within the business. So we have communities within Telstra where people share imagery. Our field service technicians are the absolute best in providing content for us because they're out in the most stunning, remote, rural places in the world, all Australia. But the scenery that they get to work in and in their office per se is stunning, and they share that content with us, and so we're able to showcase that on our platforms and show some of the cool places that our field service techs get to work. So that's a fun aspect for me, is that not only is it my content, I'm getting to share people's content from all over Telstra and all over Australia.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, I mean, they would love the shots.
That just opens up another like Pandora's box, empowering employees to be content creators. But you're right, such a big company, Telstra, you'd have actors, you'd have people who dabble in filming or cameras or whatever, like design. Some people probably have huge networks and are really active on social media, and
a lot of our people have hobbies on the side that are amazing, fantastic, cool hobbies, and people have a lot of impact outside of their work in Telstra. And quite often the stories that we like to tell are focused around that, and how when we do tell a story about an employee, the story is about the employee and what they get to do, not just at Telstra, but outside of Telstra, and how Telstra's flexibility and Telstra's opportunities enable them to be able to do those really interesting hobbies. We have people who are Aboriginal artists. We have people who get to go and public speak on massive forums. We have people like myself on a podcast who get to talk about their work. But people being able to do those hobbies and kind of experience those things outside of their work and talking about that on a forum, I think is really crucial for us. We don't always want to talk about the workplace. We want to hear the curious stories about, what people get to do outside of their work. That's what makes people tick. It's the human approach.
I'm pining to ask more questions, but unfortunately we do have to wrap it up
For another day.
And I'm sure if people did have any questions, they can reach out to you. You're active on LinkedIn.
Yes, yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Corne Cilliers.
Nice. Well, we really appreciate your time. Such a fascinating conversation. Greatly appreciated.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you.